Hi again then guys, and welcome to a circuit tune of course for GT Sport, and this one as promised is for the Mazda RX-Vision GT3 car. Now this tune can be used by people who, like myself, already like the vehicle. For me for instance, this did improve my lap time over the stock version, and you'll see how in just a second, but in particular I did this tune for people who are maybe finding it a little bit more challenging to drive. Now one of the recommendations that I see a lot is to actually alter the brake balance. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, I have not done that because I don't find that to be an issue myself, but for those who are, I've heard the number -3 banded about quite a lot, so give that a try, see if you like it. As far as the rest though, as you can see I haven't altered the power or the weight. You might be wondering why if you're new to the channel and new to my tunes. The reason is very simple. I want to show you what this can do without giving it any advantages. This is just my tuning versus the stock car. No power advantage, no weight advantage. So if you do give it more power and less weight, well of course it will be quicker. This is just showing you what you've got already straight off the bat. Traction control I would recommend having turned off. You could try it on 1, maybe if you're less experienced, it just helps you out a little bit, but if you have it off, you will learn to be quicker without it. The same goes for ABS, but I'm kind of lazy in that way, so I like to have ABS on 1. As far as the tyres, we've got hards, exact same reason as the power and weight. This is not to say you can't use soft tyres. You absolutely can. Again, I just wanted to show you what it can do on the worst racing tyres. So on better ones, it will be even quicker. Kind of as a baseline, you know, it can be at least this quick, in other words. Change the brake balance if you feel that you want to, as I said. As far as the suspension, I actually haven't made a huge amount of changes. It's just the smaller, more subtle things when it comes to this car. So the ride height is stock, 50mm on the front, 60 on the back. The frequency I believe is default as well on 3. I've adjusted the anti-roll just a tad on the rear from 4, I believe it was, to 5 now. As far as the compression and the dampers, I don't recall changing those. You don't necessarily need to do too much to that. Even the camber I haven't touched. I have, however, neutralized the toe. It did have a toe angle on the front and the back. I've put that to neutral. I know that some people do find benefit to having toe in or toe out on certain cars. I just don't like it because you're constantly dragging the tyres. That's what toe is all about. Whereas camber, on the other hand, doesn't drag the tyres as much. So if you have a car with a higher amount of toe, chances are you will see more tyre wear. Depending on the track, of course, whereas with camber, not quite so much. As far as the downforce, that is stock, once again, to show you what it can do straight off the bat. If you improve the downforce, it will be even quicker through corners. Vice versa, if you lower it, of course, you'll improve your acceleration, and especially your top speed. So that depends on the circuit you're on, really. As far as the diff, all I've changed is actually the initial torque, and even then it's not by much, up to 20. We've got 40 on acceleration, 30 on braking. Try that, see if you like it. If you don't, of course, you could change those around a little bit. As far as finally the gearbox, there's a definite improvement here because I've gone to the fully customized transmission. I would recommend an auto setting of 193 miles per hour. Of course, you can convert that to kilometers an hour on Google pretty easily. As far as the individual gears, we've got 2250, 1.7, 1350, 1125, 975, and 865 with a final drive of 4.45. Now in particular, the reason why I've got those longer first and second gears is so that you can actually pull away off the line with even less wheel spin, which is an advantage over cars that do wheel spin a lot. And again, it means that you can get through slower corners without changing up and down through your gears quite as often. So as you can see, you can get a theoretical 75 miles an hour out of first gear, about 100 out of second. Now, of course, it's a little bit lower than that in reality, but that's a rough idea. And that's pretty good for a car like this. It means that by the time you're in third gear, you're already well over 100 miles an hour. In fact, second gear is very close to it anyway, and that's really good for low-speed corners. Now, as far as top-end speed, of course, I haven't adjusted the power. The downforce is still stock, so you can get this one, if I recall correctly, quite easily up around about 170, 180, if not a little bit more. So, of course, with more power, that's going to improve. But what you want to see, of course, as I alluded to, is how does it actually compare to the stock tune? Well, as I alluded to, the difference between the two is pretty vast. In fact, despite the fact that, of course, I'm not exactly a Nations Cup level driver, I still saw a significant improvement over the stock tune. Now, as I said in my review, I already like the car. I think it feels great already. So to make it even quicker, kind of shows what this tune can do, despite having no extra power, no advantage in weight, no tyre advantage, and no difference in downforce. So all we've done is adjusted the gears a little bit, the diff, the suspension, and that's it. And that makes a massive difference, because my stock lap was a 1:39.6. My tuned lap, this one, is a 1:38.1. A second and a half quicker, just with the settings that I showed you. Now, as I said, of course there are plenty of drivers who would be faster than I am, even with the stock tune, so that goes without saying, but that's always the case. So what I would be interested to know is, if you are already a faster driver than me, give the tune a try and see what kind of improvements you see on the build. I would be very curious to see what kind of laps people get out of this tune. Overall, give me a feedback if you enjoy it, especially if you were one of those people who were finding it challenging to begin with, because as many of you know, the majority of my tune setups are designed for people who have trouble with tuning. They're not designed for pro-level drivers, because 9 times out of 10 those guys do their own tuning anyway. So tell me what kind of improvements you feel, tell me if you like it, maybe make a Frankenstein tune, change a few things around for yourself. And as far as where it falls on the grid, it's about the middle, so it's faster than a few, not quite as quick as a couple of others, up around the M6 territory with my tune, so pretty good, pretty capable. Overall though, that's it for this tune. Of course I will see you guys next time, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.